The Shepnaz Podcast begins now.
Welcome to the Shepnaz Podcast. I'm Joe, and I'm your host today. And today, we're taking a look at one of our outside ministries, Youth for Christ. And during the month of May, for our one-for-one, we're highlighting Youth for Christ. Many of you are familiar with that name, maybe because of our affiliation with the Johnstown campus. But today we have with us Pastor Bryanna and also Marc Johnson. Marc is involved in YFC here locally around the Gahanna area. And we're also going to be talking to Sam and Alex on other episodes from the Johnstown campus where they are involved in YFC. But first of all, welcome in Pastor Bryanna. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Bryanna.
Yes. So
I am a big fan of Bryanna.
Well, she's evidently a big fan of you because I was at staff meeting and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about having YFC to get on the podcast so we can talk to him about one for one. And she immediately came up with your name. And she also offered up he would be excited about doing something like this.
Well, I am. And for a couple of reasons. Like, I'm friends with Bryanna. We're part of the Gahanna Student Pastor Network. And we've done some cooperative activities, and Bryanna, gift of hospitality, makes everyone feel welcome. We had an event here that was great. And the other thing is, Shepnaz and YFC have had like a lot of historical connection with Pastor Rob used to work for YFC. Yeah, we've done a lot of stuff together. So thank you so much for doing the one-to-one supporting YFC this month.
Yeah,
we are. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Shepnaz.
Well, thank you.
Oh yeah, love what you guys are doing.
We're pretty happy with it too.
Yeah, that's cool. So super glad to be here talking with you guys.
All right, so Bryanna, kind of bring us in for like how did you originally meet Marc? And we got a little bit of a taste from what he was saying. Like there's been some events here. What's been your involvement kind of with YFC?
Yeah, so Marc and I met, I think it was like earlier this or last fall. We have the student pastors that connect in Gahanna. So we meet once a month, like we'll meet for coffee or at each other's churches just to catch up and like support each other. And I met him and he shared that he led YFC. And I was familiar with YFC just because of Johnstown and like Rob's connections. And he shared that they were looking for another like YFC volunteer to go into Gahanna Middle School South Wednesday mornings to kind of mentor students. And it was starting like in early fall with the school year. And I just thought this was a good connection point to connect with more teenagers in the community. And I love teenagers, obviously. That's my job. But I thought it'd be really special just to connect more in that way. So I got to work with Marc for, I think it was only 3 weeks.
I know.
It was,
we were so close to having Bryanna like long term.
Yeah. I would totally still be doing it if it was still there.
Yep.
But well, I don't know if we'll get into all of that. Unfortunately, it is not a part of the Middle School South anymore. But we are praying that they allow us to come back because if they do, I will totally be back. So
yeah, please take a second and pray that we can get the in-school mentoring program going again.
Well, we're definitely going to get back into that in a little bit. Before we do that though, Marc, kind of tell us a little bit about, there's a lot of areas that people can choose to minister in the faith and to try to build the kingdom as God would work through them. So first of all, if you would give us the elevator pitch for number one, how you came to Christ, and then maybe a little bit of how not only did you come to Christ, but then later you felt this calling that you needed to be working with YFC.
All right. Elevator pitch. So I'm a church kid. I received Christ when I was young at VBS. My family's all Wesleyan, which has a lot of connections to the Nazarene Church. And I had some good and some bad experiences growing up. A lot of good because there was adults who loved me and my family. And some bad stuff because I am not good at following rules and sitting still. So I got in trouble quite a bit. So I had a relationship with God. It was not a big priority in my life until high school. And I was my mom suggested that I go to this youth event called Teen Jamboree. And I want wanted no part to go to anything called Teen Jamboree.
Jamboree is so compelling for a teenager.
I know. So my mom suggested I go, which meant that I was going.
Yeah.
So I went with a fairly bad attitude, and I heard a guy speaking named Dewey Bertolini. I think he might have been Italian.
Ooh, okay.
Might still be.
Sounds like somebody you'd hear at a jamboree.
Yeah, that's right. So it turns out there was like 3,000 high school students there. It ended up being like way cooler than I expected. But he talked about the physical suffering that Christ went through on the cross. And it was the first time that I was ever in a place where I felt like they were talking directly to me.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know if he said this in his talk, but I was like, if it was the first time it kind of like clicked with me that, oh, Jesus is dying in my place. Like that's what I deserve for rebelling against God. And Jesus is there for me. And like I said, I don't know if you said this, but I was like, if God loves me that much, then I'm not going to be half-hearted. Like I'm in. And so that was really significant for me. And then over the next couple of years, I was a sophomore. Over the next couple of years, I started reading the Bible on my own, found myself praying quite a bit more. I ended up getting relationally connected with some other high schoolers who were like interested in growing spiritually. And then I got asked to be a junior high intern, and I hated it for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine.
Because I was like zealous, eager to grow. And I knew like if you learn the Bible, it will transform your life. And these middle school kids were like,
not feeling it.
Not interested. And so I was complaining about it. My mom said, wow, people are really intolerant of others that remind them of themselves.
Wow.
Okay, fair.
Mom scores another point.
I know.
Yeah.
Looking in my soul. I know. Seriously, I know.
Wow.
So then after 3 weeks, we had a retreat, and I went to the retreat, and I felt like God used me. And so I came back from that retreat. That was probably the most joy I had ever experienced in my life. I got to know kids. They put me, I was like 18, and they put me alone with the rowdy boys in a cabin. Like, can you imagine? Like, this is a long time ago.
Sounds about right, yeah.
This is 31 years ago.
Yeah.
In July.
Wow.
So
you were like 12.
I'm like almost 50. I'm about to turn 50. So that ended up being just really transformational for me. So that's when I was like hooked on youth ministry, and ended up moving to Columbus. I had gone to high school in Seattle. So came to Columbus, got involved in a church, and then in junior high ministry for the next, I think 16 years or something. Or whatever. I'm not good at chronology.
All right.
Then
there was a time.
Yeah. some amount of time that's longer than the kids were alive.
Yeah.
And then I did a couple years of traveling and doing some international student ministry. Came home, got married, and we were looking to do like some international stuff, either in Eastern Europe or Asia, which is where most of our relational connections were. And that's when I got presented with the opportunity to join up with Youth for Christ here in Gahanna. And I really do have a burden to to try and like build systems that help students come to know God, especially students who are not part of the church. And in Gahanna, I think it's about 80 to 85% of the kids that go to Gahanna schools are not involved in any church at all.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, Bryanna's awesome. You guys have a really good youth ministry. Your church cares about students. And there's a bunch of kids across the street who are super unlikely to ever come into the building. Mm-hmm. And so our role is to partner with the local church and like try and go to students' world where they are, earn the right to share the gospel, and then for kids who are interested, give them an opportunity to explore knowing God. And that's happening a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And there's some really good things going on. There's also challenges. but we are very eager to partner with churches because we know, especially like your church, we know that your church really cares about the community, cares about the students in the community. And there's a world of need here in Gahanna among students.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we know that we kind of alluded to it earlier. Maybe we'll get a little more into it now. And I'm going to preface this whole section of like, if you're listening to this, this is something that we really need to bathe in prayer.
Yes.
And that is, we've definitely met resistance.
Yep.
We've seen that from outreaches that we've tried to do here, from originating here from Shepherd Church. Mm-hmm. But you guys have also seen some resistance
we have.
in our district and so forth. So first of all, let's just speak to that as far as what the current status is, what you've been able to do in the past, and where you are right now as far as that goes.
Yeah, I'm interested in your perspective on this too.
You'll hear.
I have I've wondered if there's more spiritual resistance in Gahanna than in other suburbs in Columbus. Do you think there is or not?
I kind of get that vibe, but maybe that's just because I'm more aware of what's going on here. I mean, without saying too much, I do think that there's like some personal hangups that in leadership where we really need God to break through. Yeah. And it's almost where I see the opportunity of kind of like a Pauline event where if we can see that those key decision makers come to Christ, that like the floodgates would open, like they would go from being the most, the largest obstacle to being the biggest proponent.
Yeah.
So we really need God to make a move in that regards. So
yeah, that's well said.
Thank you. I tried to just step around that as delicately as I could, but
well, and we want to work with the schools. Like we're not looking to have any kind of combative things. We know that the schools and the community leaders really care about the community just like us.
Yes,
and we want to find ways to partner that are going to like bless students and really be good for them in a holistic way.
And previously, kind of Bryanna talked about like, I got to work with you for 3 weeks. So
that was a good 3 weeks too. You guys know this probably, but like Bryanna is she's got this like quiet, calm, welcoming for students, and the kids like really connected with her. It was like big disappointment for me that we got pulled when we did, because stuff like really good stuff was just starting.
Well,
thank you.
So tell us what has transpired, like what it was before and kind of what the current status is.
Okay, we have this like really awesome partnership with the school district. We were invited into 2 middle schools by administrators to run in-school mentoring program. What that meant was we brought really good relational volunteers in, like Bryanna and others, who were there once a week, and then one study hall a week, kids that were selected by administrators and teachers and signed off by parents would come and meet with us. And we have a curriculum that's based on like character development. It's faith neutral, and it's designed to have really great conversations. And what we found was there's a lot of kids who want to talk about real things. I think kids tend to gravitate towards the oldest people that take them seriously. And so having relational volunteers there in a kind of regular way, I think was really helpful to students. And then we got invited into the high school and the other middle school here in Gahanna. And in that process, we had launch dates set. And then there was some conflict with another school district and a Christian ministry. And because of that, they pulled up our program from the Gahanna schools, even though what we're doing in the schools is faith neutral, which is really disappointing. And we're really hoping that we can find great ways to partner with schools to serve kids during the day. There's a pretty significant percentage of the student population that would really benefit from extra relational input. I know from being in the schools for 4 years, that the administrators and the teachers really deeply care about kids, but they have such a huge administrative overload that they can't put the relational investment into kids that they want to.
Sure.
And so we were able to come alongside and help them do what they wanted to do. What ended up happening was I went and met with administrators, and I was like, hey, if we could bring in relational volunteers, what's the best way that we could partner with you to serve students? And they said, oh man, we would really like to get in-school mentoring started again. And I was like, well, we have some curriculum. And then we started it and it was going great. And then lockdown happened. And then our big lockdown project was developing this curriculum, which was a lot of work. And
sure,
some of it's actually really good.
Imagine that.
So we're really hopeful that we can find a way to partner with the school district to do that again. Because we care about students in the same way that the district cares about them.
So this is where I hope people will take this as they're hearing this, is that we are not suggesting that you call up the local school board and start screaming at them.
Please don't.
Do not call the principals and start screaming at them.
No.
Like, why did you do this? We really want to bathe this in prayer. And
Yes.
we want to approach this in the most godly way we possibly can.
Can I make a request?
Sure.
Can everyone who's listening right now, will you just take 5 seconds and pray that God blesses Gehanna students and opens doors so that people who love Jesus can serve students in Gehanna?
Amen.
Thank you.
I want to try to sit in their position for a second, because when we look at it from our side, we sit there, and I don't want it to seem like there's their side and our side, and we're on different sides, but we have different perspectives. And when we're looking at the situation, we're like, all we would be doing is, encouraging these kids and, like you said, keeping it faith neutral, but having positive contact with them. And then if they decide to pursue something beyond that, then we'd also have resources for them. And so we look at that and think, who could possibly have a problem with that? But in fairness to them, they not only juggle that, but then they juggle the idea that if we let this group do this, now we have another group that maybe doesn't like group one. And so now group two wants to do their thing to offset what group one is doing. And at some point, administration's like, you know what? It's not worth the trouble.
Agreed.
We're just not going to have any groups.
And I have a ton of compassion for people who are leading in that role, because there's basically no decision that they can make that's going to be acceptable for everybody.
Right.
So I have compassion for that. And I really do believe that parents should have a lot of say in what their kids experience at school. And, what we did was we partnered with the administration, teachers, and parents to provide something that was beneficial for students. And here's the thing. Our organization is Youth for Christ. Like, we care about students' spiritual lives. And one of the benefits of us being a parachurch ministry is that we can also have a platform to be able to partner with other organizations like schools in a faith-neutral way. And then, as part of that, if kids are interested in investigating spiritual things, they can come to stuff outside of school that's open to everybody, where parents, know about it and bring their kids if they're interested.
Sure. So if you would, I know that maybe opportunities aren't exactly like what they've been in the past, but what are the opportunities right now in our area for Youth for Christ? And maybe also follow that up with kind of the prayer concerns and challenges that you might have?
All right. Great question. And there is a world of opportunity. You know, there's kids who are involved in all these different activities, and even just like going to a sporting event or a choir concert or something like that. Kids like really appreciate that, and families really appreciate that, to know that there's other people who care about kids. We have a Monday night middle school and high school Bible study that's open to all kids, and there's tons of opportunities to help with snacks, rides, volunteering, to invest relationally in students. One of the cool things about Youth for Christ is it's really entrepreneurial. Like if there's a need and there's a way to meet that need in a way that gives honor to Jesus, like we want to be part of that, and, you know, partnering with people who are doing that. So there's a ton of need and opportunity for people who love Jesus and love students in Gahanna.
If people are listening and they're like, you know what, maybe I could do that. How's the best way to get involved or to get a hold of you, or what
Email,
what do they
text,
do next?
Yeah, get in touch with me. I'm friends with Bryanna. Talk to her. I would love to sit down with anyone and pray or talk about like what Gahanna students need or could use, and to find ways that that they, with their schedule, time constraints, burdens, giftings, could like meet needs that exist. So we have some existing things that people can plug into. We're also very open. If someone's like, man, I've got like 2 hours in the morning before work, is there something I could do? Yes, we'll work with you to try and find a way for you to serve students in Gahanna or around the city. One of the cool things about YFC too is that there's a bunch of different kinds of ministry that are happening all over the city. And if there's something that you've got a special burden for, there's probably a place where you can get plugged in to do something really cool with people who have a lot of commitment and expertise in that area.
Great. Well, I appreciate you coming in today and just kind of giving us the overview of YFC and kind of the status of things here in Gahanna. As you were listening to that, maybe you're driving somewhere and you don't have the access to be able to write down notes or anything like that. You can always email podcast@shepnaz.org and we'll get you in touch with Mark. Also, you can check out everything that's going on with our church by going to shepnaz.org. We encourage you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For Pastor Bryanna and for Mark, I'm Joe. Have a great day. This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.